I think that the spark of creativity is God's gift to human beings. It's the gift that's given to us, the gift of creativity. And it's one that we should treasure and try to develop to its maximum. Museums get a bad reputation, not because of what's in them, it's because we don't go in them to see what's happening. And this museum is certainly one of the finest in the country. Well, here we are at the Cleveland Museum of Art, and I have to tell you that there's nothing more inspiring for a trumpet player than a big, beautiful, spacious, open room with a lot of long-tail echo. This room embodies the Cleveland Museum of Art. It's open, it's spacious, we have the sunlight coming in, we have well-lit tapestries hanging from the walls, we're surrounded with beautiful armor. I can't keep my eyes off of it, really. It's hard for me to talk to you because I'm looking around at everything. This room really indicates the attitude that we have here at the museum, which is one of openness. It's a friendly room, and it's also a room that inspires contemplation. And a room like this inspires you to interface with the history of humankind. Of all the gifts and the joys that God gave to human beings, the greatest gift He gave us is each other. And the greatest thing you can treat yourself with is to attempt to understand another human being, to see what they've done and to celebrate the magnificence of them. When you see a work of art, you're able to enter the mind of a great artist if it's a great work. And a work doesn't necessarily have to be great to be enjoyable. You know, you come in and you'll have certain things you like and certain things you won't like. That's just life. But don't condemn the banquet because you don't want to eat ham. See, we got a banquet laid out for you, and you pick what you want. And some things you don't want, that's all right. Just reach over it. There's something else there. The thing about works of art and about life in general is that you can take things at your own pace. You don't have to come in knowing everything. You can deal with works of art on your own terms. Sometimes people make it unnatural because they want to give you the illusion that they know more about it than you know. But with very few exceptions, they really don't. And they certainly are not more qualified to know how you feel about it. The wonderful thing about this museum is it doesn't cost you a dime. That's rare in this day and age, so you owe it to yourself just to come see something free could be this great. This is a composition by Stuart Davis, and he was a great fan of jazz music. Stuart Davis used to like to paint with jazz music in the background. And in his paintings, we see a superior use of syncopation. He refracts all these blues and reds in jagged ways and unexpected ways with twists and turns. You can't get a bead on any one particular pattern, and that's the effect that syncopation has. Then it has the feeling of a modern city. You educate your feeling in art like you educate your feeling in everything else. Many times you just don't know how to feel about something. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. I'm gonna check this out some more. She is the oldest human figure in the Cleveland Museum. So she lets all of us here in Cleveland know that 5,000 years ago, she was here. This piece is very interesting because it's called the Stargazer, and the eyes are pointed up towards heaven. And if you notice Louis Armstrong, when he plays, his eyes are always up. And Dizzy Gillespie told me once that he asked Louis Armstrong, why are you always looking up, Pops? He said, what are you looking for? He said, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I always find it. The eyes looking up symbolize, of course, towards the heavens, and it's a posture of humility. It's a humble pose and a spiritual position. Another wonderful thing as we walk through this museum is we just stumble upon masterpiece after masterpiece. And there's none more masterful than Picasso. The thing that Picasso really represents is a world artist, because he embraced the art of the world. He came from the Spanish tradition, but he lived in Paris, and he was inspired by African masks. And instead of looking at them as some primitive creation of savages, he saw them for what they were, which is timeless artifacts that address the human need to conquer fear. An artist like Picasso wasn't interested in vilifying the African. He was interested in learning what he could about art. And his intense engagement with art brought him into a deeper connection with all of humanity. And in effect, the artist is trying to teach us that all things are one. That whole kind of We Are the World type of fakery that comes through the pop culture, in the hands of the greatest artist, it becomes real. This is my personal favorite artist of all time, Matisse. His work is so profoundly original. It's so colorful and festive, and it's so full of, it's just, the only word I can really think of is the one that I've used a bunch of times. It's just so lyrical. This is a piece by the great Romare Bearden. Romare Bearden is the greatest of the Afro-American painters and artists, in my estimation. He once told me a story about Picasso, that he met Picasso, and Picasso told him, always remember that you're a black man. And he said what he took that to mean was not in the limiting sense, and not in the sense of you should segregate yourself, but in the sense of saying that the source of your power is your experience. And through your experience, you can translate the experience of the world, because that's just the nature of life. And that really empowers all of us, because it says something that happened to you, something that you felt profoundly, something that you saw, is something that is powerful enough to stand up with what anybody else saw anywhere in the world. And take your traditions and your things that you saw and look deeply enough into them so that you touch the universal. And that's what I think Romare Bearden did. Well, I think that the Cleveland Museum, it speaks for itself. You know, you have to come down. There's no amount of proselytizing or talking that is going to do what a visit is going to do. And take the time, and it gives you a chance to relax and just fall into some contemplation and see what you can see and look into the images. And you'll learn a lot. A lot will be taught, because you're going to be being tutored by some of the greatest masters who've ever lived. And a work of art is that way. It contains the wisdom of your people and ultimately the wisdom of humankind. And when we interface with the greatest art, the greatest geniuses of art, that's what we're interfacing with. Because they show us a full range of humanity. The Cleveland Museum of Art, a world of great art for everyone. Come down here and check it out.